Enthusiasts love to complain about a lot of things. And to be fair, there are a lot of things worthy of whinging about in the world of watches. One favorite punching bag is Omega Speedmaster limited editions. Everyone thinks Omega makes too many, diluting the brand equity of the Speedmaster name. But how have these watches actually performed on the secondary market? The results may surprise you. In this video, we'll rank limited edition Speedmasters from the last 15 years by how well they've held their value. All the numbers in this video come from WatchCharts.com. Are you looking to browse listings from the biggest private sales marketplaces across the web? See insights on whether you're getting a good deal or not? Manage your collection and track its value over time? You can do all this and more on WatchCharts.com, the world's most powerful watch market research platform, providing daily updated prices on over 24,000 watches. Dive into the data yourself at WatchCharts.com. Since we're going to be looking at watches that were released up to 15 years ago, we're deviating from our usual practice of calculating value retention as just a premium or discount above or below retail for that watch, given its market price. Instead, we're adjusting the last known retail price for each model according to inflation to get a more relevant comparison, since we're comparing watches from 2008 with watches released as recently as 2020, not to mention that all of these are discontinued and sold out and therefore not available at retail. The inflation-adjusted value retention is then used to rank the watches into tiers, but don't worry, you'll be able to see the last known retail price on the slides as well as we move through the list. I've tried to be as thorough with my research as I thought possible, but two caveats. One, I can't be certain I captured every last limited edition from the last 15 years, so if I've missed any, let me know in the comments. And two, I'm not including numbered limited production references for which there is no known total production quantity, such as the first Omega in space, or the Silver Snoopy 50th anniversary, or the Ed White 321. With the limited editions, Omega itself specifies how many they've made, so we can reason about how many of them trade at any given time on the secondary market. With the numbered editions, there's speculation on forums about how many might have been made by comparing serial numbers, but there are no clear answers, and so for that reason, I decided to exclude them. We'll move in chronological order beginning in 2008, but let me first set a baseline with the current production, non-limited, steel, on a bracelet, Sapphire Speedy that retails for $8,000 and trades around $6,000 or 25% below retail on the secondary market. That's just good enough on our current set of tiers for the B tier. Then moving back to 2008 with the Alaska project to get the actual list started, we'll see straight off the bat that this is one of the most popular references of the set that we're going to look at. It's a steel watch and its inflation-adjusted value retention is over 150%, which is obviously good enough for the top S tier. The market price for this watch is over $20,000, and so when you think about the fact that it's just steel, this is really one of those that is super desirable in the market. The next one from 2009 is a bit of a weird case because it's the Apollo 11 40th anniversary limited edition, and only 69 were made because it's a platinum case on a platinum bracelet. There's nothing like this in Omega's current production catalog. And because they only made 69, there's literally no market data available for these watches. There's none available on eBay, there's none available on Chrono24, nothing on the forums, and its last known retail price was $140,000. So it's a bit of a unicorn even within this set of highly desirable, relatively scarce references. Moving into 2010, we have the Apollo Soyuz, which 1,975 of those were made. The current inflation-adjusted value retention for this is 34%, which is also good enough for the S tier. And this trades nearly at $18,000, which, again, for a steel case on a steel bracelet, it puts it in the top tier. There wasn't anything that was limited edition in 2011, or at least not that I could find. And then moving into 2012, there's two more anniversaries, the 40th anniversaries for the Apollo 15 and the Apollo 17 missions. These were released in 1,971 and 1,972 pieces. And both of these, for their current market price, trade above their last known retail price, but when we look at the inflation-adjusted value retention, end up at -2% and -18% respectively, which means both of these land in the B tier. 2013, again, presented no opportunity to mark some sort of anniversary associated with the Apollo program. And so in 2014, the Apollo 11 45th anniversary limited edition of 1,969 pieces was released with a retail price of $7,700. This is, I think, of all of the watches on this list, easily my new favorite Speedmaster now that I know about it. The inflation-adjusted retail price would have been just over $10,000, and even given that adjusted retail price, this trades 12% above that adjusted retail price. So you can imagine over $7,700, it's a considerably higher premium as well. But at 12%, this lands in the A tier. The next one from 2015 now, the Silver Snoopy Award, is easily one of the most popular, one of the most desirable, and one of the most well-known and well-loved limited edition Speedmasters ever for collectors. And that's reflected in the fact that the premium for this over the inflation-adjusted retail price of nearly 300% is higher than any other watch on this list, even though it doesn't even have a bracelet. It's just a steel watch on a strap, but it's got Snoopy on the dial. And so that means inflation-adjusted value retention is almost 300%, and that lands this in the S tier. But the other one from 2015 is actually an X33 limited edition, the Skywalker Solar Impulse. 1924 of these were made. It retailed for $5,900, and its current market price is $4,000. So, leaving aside even the inflation-adjusted retail price, this is trading below its retail price. But the inflation-adjusted VR number is negative 49%, which lands this in the C tier, but is actually not the worst performing watch on this list. There's another one coming that's also an X33, so I'm giving away a little bit the secret, but it does slightly worse than this one. Moving into 2016, we have another super limited edition of only 57 pieces, the Coaxial Master Chronometer Moon Phase, for which, because there's only 57 pieces, the retail price was $50,700. It's just not clear what the market value for this watch today is. Similar to the Apollo 11 40th anniversary on platinum, this one it's difficult to say what the market price for this is because there's just none available for sale. So it's also therefore difficult to say what the value retention for this one would be. The next one, though, which is the CK2998 limited edition with a blue dial, also from 2016, this time with 2,998 pieces, is for inflation-adjusted value retention flat. If you look at just its value retention over its last known retail price, it does trade at a premium, 29% above retail, in fact. But if we adjust that retail price for inflation, because obviously we're talking about a watch that came out maybe 6 years ago, its market performance is just good enough to be at 0% and therefore in the A tier. In addition to celebrating anniversaries around the Apollo missions, and then in some cases the Mercury missions, there's also some limited edition Speedmasters associated with the Olympics, which of course Omega is the timing sponsor for. So the Mark II Rio 2016 limited edition seems to have been one of the rare misfires because this one, not having the standard speedy case, seemed to hurt its value retention. It retailed for $6,500, which inflation adjusted today is around $8,400, but it trades on the market at negative 42%, so 42% below its inflation adjusted retail price, which is just good enough for the C tier, steel on a steel bracelet. And we can see that other watches that were coming out around this time, regardless of whether or not they even included a bracelet, have considerably better value retention. And in fact, we'll talk about other Olympics-related Speedmasters that have performed much better, but this one I think really suffered because it is a case shape that is not as desirable as the standard speedy case. Moving into 2017, the first of the two 1957 trilogy watches, in this case, the 311-10-39-30-01-001, had 3,557 pieces. And this one trades just above its inflation-adjusted retail price, which is good enough to land this in the A tier. But if you look at the 002, which is the same watch but part of the trilogy set, which only had 557 pieces and retailed for $23,800. That set today trades at $18,300, which means the set as a whole, and therefore this Speedmaster as part of that set, is 39% below inflation-adjusted retail. and that's just good enough for the C tier. We have a few more from 2017 to get through because it did end up being a little bit of a special anniversary. So the Apollo 17 45th anniversary, 1972 pieces, trades 6% above its inflation-adjusted retail price, which is good enough for the A tier. But the Speedy Tuesday, also from 2017, of which there were 2012 pieces, this celebrated the 5th anniversary of the arrival of the Speedy Tuesday hashtag on social media, trades for $13,700 at 67% above its inflation-adjusted retail price. That's good enough for the S tier. As a counterpoint, and continuing the trend of precious metal Speedmasters not doing as well as their steel counterparts, from 2017 with 272 pieces, the Apollo 17 45th anniversary in yellow gold, which was a gold case on a strap, trades for $20,400, which is 30% below its inflation-adjusted retail price, landing it in the B tier. And then rounding out the set of watches from 2017, the X33 Regatta Emirates Team New Zealand Limited Edition, of which 2017 were made and retailed for $5,900. This watch trades today at just $3,700 and is the worst performer on this list, with a value retention, inflation adjusted of course, of minus 51%. The Speedy Tuesday reference from 2017 was obviously so popular that Omega came back a year later and did a second one, the Speedy Tuesday 2 Ultraman, of which they also made 2012 pieces. And this one has an inflation-adjusted VR of 41%, which lands it in the S tier. The remaining two limited editions from 2018 also do very well on the secondary market. The CK2998 limited edition with the pulsometer scale, of which 2,998 pieces were made, trades at $9,000, which is 11% above its inflation-adjusted retail price. And then the Hodinkee 10th anniversary, which only came in 500 pieces. Actually, that's the lowest of any of the non-precious metal limited editions of the last 15 years. Retailed for $6,500, but today trades for $10,300, which is 27% above its inflation-adjusted retail value today. 2019 was, as far as anniversary years go, a big one. This was the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 missions, and so Omega did both a steel and a moonshine gold limited edition. The steel one was 6,969 pieces. The moonshine gold was 1,114 pieces. And the steel with gold accents does trade just above its inflation-adjusted retail price at $13,200 on the secondary market. But the Moonshine Gold actually trades at a discount, which lands it in the B tier with an inflation-adjusted VR of negative 11%. Rounding out the list, we have limited editions, again associated with the Olympics, this time from 2020. These watches were JDM only, so Japan domestic market only. They're not even listed on Omega's US website. They're only visible on the Japanese website. And then keeping with the Olympic year, 2020 pieces of each of these 5 references were made. And yellow trades at $6,100, which is an inflation-adjusted value retention figure of minus 9%. That's going to place this one in the B tier. But the green, which in my opinion I think is quite a nice-looking variation of the Speedmaster, is 7% above its inflation-adjusted retail price. That puts it in the A tier. But that's not even the best performing ones from within this set. The blue, which trades at 22% above its inflation-adjusted retail value, and then the red, which trades at 35% above its retail value, inflation-adjusted retail value, land in the A tier and the S tier respectively. But the best performing of these 5 is the black, which trades at 74% above its inflation-adjusted retail price, which also puts it in the S tier. And while at first blush, if you're just looking at the data without watching what's on the screen, maybe it'll be somewhat surprising that this watch does as well as it does relative to the others. But if you're watching, then it may already be obvious that because this one has a panda dial configuration, which is something that's catnip to collectors and enthusiasts, there's more demand for this. And then given that there's only 2020 pieces and they were only available for sale in Japan, and so there's this added step of, trying to get the watch out of Japan if you're living anywhere else in the world, The premium on this one is considerably higher, and so its market price is just shy of $10,000. If you're watching this and feeling FOMO from not knowing about or passing on these watches at retail and seeing the financial upside along with the joy of wearing a beautiful chronograph, just remember that the beauty of anniversaries is they're always around the corner. Next year, 2024, is the 55th anniversary of the Apollo 11 missions. And it's not even a bet that Omega will announce more limited editions to celebrate the occasion. They will. It's too central to the Speedmaster story and building a halo around the entire Speedmaster collection for Omega to not use that marketing opportunity. If there's anything this presentation of data shows, it's that limited edition Speedmasters, especially in non-precious metals in the Moonwatch configuration, can prove to be reliable stores of value, even though they're not necessarily decent investments. And that for those reasons, Omega can't stop making them and collectors can't stop buying them. Consider marking your calendars for next year, and thanks for watching.